Hi guys, we're going to work on main words that have endings. Endings can be tricky when they come at the end of a main word. There's lots of different rules that apply in the spelling, but we just want to be able to read them right now. We're just first graders. The endings we're going to work on for these main words are S, ES, and IES. Most of the time you can just add an S to a word, but sometimes an S won't work. You need to add ES or IES, and you need to know how to read those words. Okay, let's go through and just find all the words that we can add just an S to, the easiest ones. First, let's read all the main words, though, before we do that. So we have fox, puppy, reach, run, read, turkey, dance, cherry, key, baby, and kiss. Okay, did you already find some where we can just add an S? I bet you did. Here's one. Runs, reads, that just needs an S. Turkeys, dances, and keys. All right, now let's go in and find the ones that need ES. And ES is usually not pronounced as, it's pronounced is, kind of like with a Z sound and with an I almost. First of all, we have foxes. Now these kind of words can be very tricky because you might think, oh, that could be silent E. If it were silent E, it would be folkses. So that's not really a word, so you just have to kind of look at it and always be thinking of the main word. And the reason we can't just add an S to foxes is because you can't pronounce it if you just have an S. You need that vowel sound, that is sound. You can't say fox. It's just too difficult. So we need that little cushion of that vowel sound in there. So foxes. But it can be very tricky, as I said, because, is that a silent E and just an S ending? You always have to kind of be thinking about what's your main word to figure that out, because it's no other way to do it. It's just a tricky thing. Always go back and think about what is that main word. Here's another one, reaches. You can't just add an S because it would be reach-s. But we know that's not silent E on that one because, well, I guess it could be silent E, huh? Still be the same word. I don't know. These are real tricky. Let's see. None of these need ES. Here's one. Kisses. Kisses. It just kind of depends on the last sound in the main word. Certain sounds, it's just too hard just to stick an S on. We don't want to have kiss at the end, right? So we need that little vowel sound in there. Okay, the last one that can be very tricky is the IES. Okay, so let's see. Here's one that we're going to use IES. But before we do, we have to change the Y. We have to remove the Y, We have to remove the Y. And you need to look here at the letter that comes before the Y at the end of this main word, puppy. And that letter is a consonant. And this is where you need to kind of understand what's happening. When the main word ends with a consonant Y, the Y is always going to change to an I before you add ES. So let's do it. So here's one that has the IES, puppies. Here's another one, consonant Y. What are the consonants again? Consonants are any letter that is not a vowel. What are the vowels? The vowels are A, E, I, O, U. So all of the other letters in the alphabet that aren't these letters, those are your consonants. Very important to know that word, consonants, and very important to know the word vowels. So a letter is either a vowel or a consonant. And these are the vowels, and the consonants are all the other ones, like the B and the C and the D and the F, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here we have cherry changed to cherries, and we had to change the Y to an I because there was a consonant Y at the end of cherry. Babies is another one, consonant Y. And that's why you're going to see it written this way, not just sticking an S on the end. Okay, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about there, I think. Oh, what? One thing I wanted to mention. Look at these words that end with Y. Why didn't we change the Y to an I there? Oh, you know why? Because we'd end up with too many vowels in a row. Anytime you end up with too many vowels in a row, you end up with some tricky words that you can't read. So basically, since this one ends with a vowel Y, we don't have to change it. Puppy had a consonant Y, so we had to change Y to Y. But this one, with two vowels in a row, we don't have to change. Same with keys. Vowel, Y, don't have to change the Y to an I and add ES. All right? So that's working with those tricky endings. Let's do a few other ones. Let's see. How about these endings? See if you remember this one. Remember that one? Ing. You got it. Here's another one. ED ending. Now this one can be said in three different ways, right? It can sound like D. It can sound like T. And it can sound like id. So those are the three sounds for ED endings. And I know we've talked about this a lot, but let's go over it. It's good to review. If a main word ends in a sound that moves, like G, fill your throat, G, G. You feel that shaking and quivering, that vibration? If a main word ends in a sound that moves, you want to use the dis sound for your ED. Like, for example, begged. The dog begged for a bone. Or filled. Now, when a word ends in a sound that doesn't move, where your throat doesn't make that little shaky feeling, like kiss. It's just more like just air hissing there, but no vibration. Then you're going to use the sound that doesn't move, the T sound. T. And if a word ends in a D or a T, we don't want to say d-d or d-d or d-t, too hard to say. That's when we use the id sound. Like, for example, kidded. I kidded you and made a joke. So if the main word ends in a sound that moves, you're going to use the sound that moves for ED. If the main word ends in a sound that doesn't move, you're going to use the sound that doesn't move. T. Let's keep it not moving. Here you're going to keep it moving. Here you're going to keep it not moving. And then if a main word ends in either of these two sounds, that's when you use id. Okay. And the last one, a couple more. How about these? Remember these? ER and EST. Okay? So these are just a few of the word endings that we've learned, but kind of tricky because they all start in vowels, right? There's an I, there's an E, there's an E, there's an E. Those vowel endings, that's what I call them. They're tricky. Okay, so let's do a few words that use some of these endings now. Okay, here's a main word. Sound out word. Can you read that for me? Jump. Remember to sing your sounds together. Get that vowel on that first consonant right away. Okay, so if we want to write jumping, let me see, I think I'll get a different color. We just add ing. No problem. ing. Okay? Words like this are pretty easy. There's no silent E. There's two consonants at the end. Those are pretty easy. But what about if you have a word like this? Ah, silent E makes the vowel say its own name. Okay, we have a vowel consonant E. If I want to write skating or skated, guess what I have to do? Get rid of the silent E before I add ing. Otherwise, we'd have too many vowels there together. But you always need to be thinking about what was that main word. If it were scatting, guess what? It would have two T's there. So we know this word, we'll talk about that a little more in a minute, but we know this main word did have silent E because there's only one consonant before that or after that vowel. Here's another one that just follows the same rule, just to practice one more time with a vowel consonant E word. Here's another one. Silent E makes the vowel say its own name. Okay, so for this one, let's say we want to say baked. We could say baking, but let's just use the ED, baked. We're going to drop it, add ED. Okay, it's not backed, it's baked. Now here's why this is so important. Okay, let's take these two words. Silent E, here it comes, got it? Silent E makes the vowel say its own name, so what's our main word? Hope. But here is another word that doesn't have silent E. What's this one? Hop. Okay, now, let's see. Let's see our rule. What if I want to write hoped? Oh, I have to drop the silent E because it was a vowel consonant E. I have to drop the silent E and add ED. But look at this. Can I just add ED? No, I have to double the last consonant because on this one, there was no silent E. And we want people to know the difference when they read our words. So now we can add IED, or sorry, not IED, ED. So this one is hoped. The main word was H-O-P-E, but we dropped silent E. And this one is hopped. In the spelling, what we had to do was we had to double the last consonant before we added ED. We only double the last consonant when a word, a main word, has a vowel consonant at the end of it. So that's how people can tell the difference. Okay? And then we haven't talked about ER and EST, but here's the word fat, like that is a fat pumpkin. Now, if we want to write fatter, guess what we have to do? We have to double that T because otherwise people might think it's fater. They would think that it was a word with a silent E when it wasn't. So fatter, and how about that puppy is the fattest one in the group? T-T-E-S-T. So that's the rule about adding ED that's tricky. ED, ING, ER, EST, they're all the same because they all start with vowels. So they all follow that rule of doubling and dropping silent E. Doubling and dropping silent E. So if you only see one consonant before your ending, you know the main word had silent E. But if you see two, you know the main word, short vowel word. Okay? All right, guys. Thanks for reviewing with me. Keep working hard.